Men are expected to pay for the first date and entertain a random stranger with their hard-working money, and at the end of it, the woman doesn't have to give that man anything in return. Heck, she doesn't even have to say thanks at the end of it. But let a man tell a woman that they're splitting the check if she has zero intentions of sleeping with him, and you can sit back and watch World War III. See, women always want what is for their benefit at all times, and they never stop and think about what men want, but they expect us to just toe the line and give them what they want. The double standards of dating and relationships are something that most average men face daily, to the point where we have to ask what is in it for men dating these modern women. Because we all know that men are expected by women to provide and protect without having bedroom fun with them. So why is it a problem if a man expects to have her legs on his shoulders when he opens up his wallet or risks his life to protect her in case of danger? Those are the hypocrisy men have to face in this dating marketplace and in their relationships today, where modern women quite frankly don't care or want to do anything for men anymore. However, men must still do their job and just shut their mouths and provide and protect women. So can you blame men for checking out of relationships and going abroad when in America, this level of entitlement is what men have to face? Just stop and look at it from the man's perspective for a second. He has to go to his soul-sucking plantation job and slave away for his daily bread. Then hop on a dating app and fight to get one warthog to say yes to meeting him for a date. But because she expects to be spoiled, now he has to plunk down a significant amount of cash to try and impress her on a fancy dinner date. Not only that, he can't just show up to the date looking like a lame or a dusty because the woman is going to judge him, so he has to put in the effort and spend even more money to look fresh to death and smell good. And to top it all off, he has to pay for the entire date, which can cost hundreds of dollars depending on which fancy restaurant he takes her to, but at the end of it, all he gets is a thank you or pat in the head while she carries the leftovers to give Chad and get her insides decimated. Even worse than that are the men that have to do this for 90 days before he has any chance of getting between a woman's legs, and in that time, he has to support and provide for her while he's getting nothing in return. Some men actually sign up for this, so if you think the 90-day rule is dead for some men, that's their reality. Can you imagine how much money he had to waste before she made up her mind if she wanted to give him any stank? While she might have an ex-boyfriend that pounds her out Roski in that time, the streets are cold, brothers, so always remember that not every man who chooses to date modern women has it easy. That is what happens to men, and nobody cares about what he wants from the transaction. But if a man decides not to date anymore or go overseas to where the women will at least treat him better and bust it wide open at the end of the date, then they shame him for being a trick. Let me go back to the example I gave with men expecting to pay for the date. So I don't know if you guys know Skippy the Virgin. He's a grown man who is still a virgin, which will be more common as the years go by. And he literally has a video showing what I spoke about when men pay for the date, get no segs, and the woman goes and links up with another man to get pounded out. So he goes on a date with a Mormon, and at the end of it, she tells him that she has a camping trip to go on with some friends. This is nighttime, by the way, so he starts to suspect that something is off. You know when that gut starts to tell you that something doesn't add up and you feel like something terrible is going to happen. Skippy had that moment where his gut was telling him that something didn't make sense, so he started to ask her some questions about the camping trip and who she was going with to find out the full details. And this is after he fed her and entertained her, so keep that in mind. So she starts to get defensive and tells him it's none of his business, and that alone should tell you that he's about to get finessed. So Skippy walks her to her apartment, and they end the date there with her giving him a hug, and off she goes on her supposed camping trip. So he circles around the apartment only to see the same girl he was on a date with in a car with another man. I never forgot the look of defeat in his eyes, guys, and trust me, this happens more often than not. He was just lucky to have caught it on camera, and we all know she was going to get pounded out by the Chad after Skippy spent all that money to just get a hug. So again, we are expected to pay while they don't have to give us anything in return. That's a double standard in my eyes, because if a man tells a woman he's dating he expects her to have bedroom fun with him after the date, then most women would not agree to that. But they have no problem going on a date and giving the man nothing and call up Chad, who they really want, and ride his digging stick. If that isn't a double standard, I don't know what is. So again, when you see men realizing that the game is rigged and the deck is stacked against them and decides to just go their own way, go monk mode or start living the free agent lifestyle, then can you blame them? If a man chooses to go to Thailand and get a woman who is happy to go out on a date with him and is delighted to give him access to her body after he spends his money, then do you blame that man for going where he's wanted and not where he's tolerated? The truth is, men's wants and needs are taken for granted by the modern woman, and they don't care about you. If you're not Chad, Tyrone, or the man that they really get wet for, then they won't care if what they expect is a double standard. They will use you for what you have to provide as long as possible without giving you what you want. That's why you'll hear about foodie calls and ghosting after 3 dates, because they don't care about what you want. Remember, they're selfish and only look out for themselves, so the men that are waking up and seeing the BS and are opting out of relationships, you can't blame them. Now let's look at the men in marriages that are expected to provide and protect and not expect any sex from their wife or get it from somewhere else. I don't know why a man in today's world would consider getting married when women are filing for divorce left, right, and center. Stripping the kids from the biological father and doing the bare minimum in the marriage. I honestly don't get it, because women are giving away segs without a commitment these days, and they're now selling it to get by for a low price, depending on the quality of women, so I don't see a need for most men to get married. But the blue pill programming is often too strong, so men will sacrifice themselves to have their personal woman and their own in-house wet vice grip all to themselves. And the sad part is all they wanted to do was bust a nut, but they'll sacrifice their future just for that one nut when they could have paid for a girl to drop some off and leave them in peace. But no, men don't want to pay up front. They prefer to pay in divorce, alimony, and child support, so it is what it is. Sometimes you have to make men learn the hard way to wake up and see the errors in their ways. Even I had to go through this a couple of times. So I understand why you can't just tell most men the truth and they'll start changing their lives. No, they have to get hurt, and even then, some men will never stop clinging to hope. Now, what I believe is egregious is that after a man marries and takes care of a woman, she will not make it a duty as the sole provider of sex to give that man some peace leave when he wants. This to me is akin to a man showing up to work each day, and at the end of the fortnight or the month, he's not entitled to get his paycheck. And this is what most married men have to go through with a woman they're supporting and caring for. It's not like a small percentage of guys that go through this. No, most married men are not expected to get regular sex from their wife, so much so that if he decides to take it in many countries, that will be seen as grape, and they will throw his ass in the gulag for taking his wife's peace leave. I mean, isn't that the whole point of getting married in the first place? Aren't you supposed to get bedroom fun when and where you want it because you're holding up your end of the deal? Nope, you still have to provide and protect while she's not obligated to give you a damn thing. But here's the deal, when that woman was single and on the rooster rotation, she had no problem giving her wet vice grip to other men for free. But now that you're paying top dollars for it, you're not entitled to get anyone you want. Isn't that a double standard? Jet didn't have to pay, and he got to stretch it out, so why does the husband have to pay to not get any? Why can't the wife make it a duty to give the man what he married her for? You guys see what I mean? Women don't care about you. That's pretty obvious. So why would you give them what they want if they're unwilling to do the same? Men, you better think long and hard about the decisions you're about to make with the modern woman, because these modern women don't care, and they never will. And you know what the worst part is? You have to play your role to keep her, and if you decide you're not going to in an attempt to correct her, then all she has to do is divorce grape you to kingdom come and still gets what she wants. So you guys still roll the dice knowing it's a lose-lose situation. The choice is yours. Share the video with a man that needs to hear this message. If you want to support the channel for free, then you have to tap the like button and subscribe to get more hard-hitting facts. Our Cash App and PayPal links are in the description box below if you want to donate to the channel. Women don't care about you or whether what she wants is a double standard, so remember that. And if you want to learn why women will regret losing men they pushed away, then click the video on the screen right now to get that information.